it thudded through my letterbox, because at the time, and it's quite a long time ago now, it was about 180 pages. So, but the film is absolutely Alison's baby in terms of the script, and I suppose Jeremy Brock and I changed its nappy a few times. And became, I suppose, hopefully a very productive team in terms of the script. But I'm sure Alison won't mind me telling you that punctuation isn't her greatest quality. And she's very well acquainted with the comma, and not with the full stop. But that didn't stop me from knowing, and it's like any script that you get attached to, 4 pages in, pictures start appearing in your mind, and it wasn't, pretty ignorant about the period. You have a kind of cartoon knowledge of Louis XIV and the court at Versailles. And as I said before, it's not a biopic, it's not meant to be. It's the point of the film is, if you like, that a woman like Sabine could not possibly have existed. And why is that? And an utterly male-dominated court is the reason. And that, it interested me to explore that, and then you realize, once you've said yes, what the challenges are going to be, which, not least of them, is the fact if you try to make a period picture in England, of course you discover England's a very thin country, and you're never very far away from the M25 or a flight path if the wind changes, or the scene where Louis comes to the ruined rockwork grove in the pouring rain. You think, well, what on earth is Louis XIV doing out in the rain? He would have just stayed indoors. But not that day, because that was the day we had to shoot that scene. So thank God our brilliant production designer, who's also here, James Mёrfild, who should stand up and take a huge bow. So he said, well, I've got this bit of old tarpaulin making a canopy for the workers if it happened to rain at any point. So it covered Louis XIV.
Can I ask you, given it's quite some time since you directed your first film, The Winter Guest, and in the intervening years you've had a very diverse and very successful career acting. What took you, made you want to go behind the camera again?
Well, I'd always wanted to. My background is having trained at art school and then drama school, so it's like putting the bits of you together. And in the intervening years, I directed quite a bit in the theatre, but then in 2000, I got involved in this Harry Potter thing, and even 7 weeks a year, which I shot on that, means you can't direct a film for, as it turned out, the next 10 or 11 years. Because you have to remember, at the time, she'd only written 3 of them, so we didn't know what was going to happen.
And did your experience in the intervening period actually sort of add to your capacity, do you feel, or was it a different experience second time round?
Well, it's a terrifying thing to be in front of a group of actors, or a couple of actors even, and actors are phenomenally courageous. I'm not sure how many of the actors are here. I think Lois is here, and I think Stephen Waddington's here, and John Walk. I'm not sure who else. Why don't they stand up? They should say hi. Everybody else is off working, so they can't be here. I suppose in the end, you, over the years, pass by and you learn things like less is more, and that, as you see magnificently with Kate, that her power of listening is so glorious that it's a great gift to a director in the editing room, because you can put the camera on her at any time, because she's not judging, she's not ahead of the game, she's done her homework, she's utterly prepared, but she's completely open. So I don't know, you develop a belief system, I suppose.
And can you expand on the casting? It's a wonderful cast, and you know, how did you reach out to everybody? Was it that you had these particular actors in mind, or did you go through the traditional audition process?
I'm not quite sure how these things happen, really. A bit of it is, you know, reeling Kate in. Sort of slowish process. She's slow to say yes to things. But she always loved the script, and then it was just a question of organizing it around her life. You know, she's very committed to her life and her role as a mother. She announced, whatever it was, 2 weeks into shooting, that she was 9 weeks pregnant. So when she got thrown in that water, she was about 14 weeks pregnant at the time. That was fairly scary, but she's utterly focused on her role as a mother and a wife, and as an actor. And so she has to make sure that all of the, you know, the bits of her life come together at the moment that works for her. So we shot it, in a sense, when she had carved out that bit of time. And then once you've got that person in place, it's about how does everybody fit around her. And, you know, I, like everybody, had loved Rust and Bone, and that was a moment in Mathias's life. And we're the first people to have him act in English. So.
And there are several following.
Et cetera. Yeah, I'm sorry Peter's not here, because I'm so proud of him and the work he did and the way he went about it. This is his first ever film score. He's 27 years old, and you can Google him and you'll find him playing cello brilliantly. He's pretty world-renowned now as a cellist. And you can see him talking on TED Talks. I think he's in Vancouver or somewhere at the moment, but anyway, he's really sorry not to be here. I went to see a ballet at the Print Room in Hereford Road, which is, I should give them an advertisement. They're not there anymore. They've now taken over the old Coronet Cinema and turned it back into, hooray, a theatre. And he had composed the score for this ballet in a tiny place in W2. And the dancers were being drenched with water during the ballet, deliberately. It wasn't a plumbing accident, but... and I don't know what the connection was. First of all, the music was wonderful and very unegocentric. The music seemed to be really helping the dancers rather than not. And because of the water, and I was, you know, the film was very much in my head at the time, something about the music made me think whoever this person is knows how to make water into music. That was the beginning of and by the end, you know, we of course arrived at very fast music for a very slow dance. So it's a long, long process, but I think he's brilliant, and I think that anybody who uses him now is going to be very lucky. Well, thank you, and I can only say all of what you're talking about was there in the original script. It's passionate and, I guess, political in the sense of women's role in society, and funny, and emotionally brave. So when you know those things are why you want to make the film, then of course that's where your concentration goes, and I was blessed with actors who would go there. No, when I said that the film is historically inaccurate earlier, I meant things like the fact that Louis, bless him, could hardly walk at that stage of his life, let alone dance. You know, he would have been wheeled on there in a bath chair. But no, I wish I had a little film of James's design office. The walls absolutely covered with perfect reference, books knee-deep in the room, and a ludicrous budget for him to do it on. Everything was shot in England. You know, it wasn't. We were. It's actually, I should mention how because his obituary was in the paper today, the Duke of Marlborough, and sad for us really because he was phenomenally generous to us. That's the first time that anybody's been allowed to film in the state apartments at Blenheim, for example. So what James's job, and I'm sorry I have to talk for him, but was to kind of find a parallel in England a lot of the time, although he did build from scratch that fountain at the end, and that is a pretty direct copy of the one that actually exists, Le Salle de Bal at Versailles, and it's in exactly the right position relative to the palace. So it's a conversation between research, reality, and imagination. Well, it's always about time, budget, the weather, flight paths, M25s. Really, all of these things are designed to get in your way. It's raining when you don't want it to rain. The wind has changed, and the scene with Kate and I in the garden, just the two of us, I don't think we had a take that went on for more than about 25 seconds. You should see all the outtakes of that scene. People going to the aeroplanes. Well, not people, Kate. And as I say, budget, you know, I won't mention the figure, but Gail Egan, one of our producers, came up to me at Blenheim one day and said, "Alan, this is costing us X a day. We cannot go over." So, you know, the challenge, I suppose, is to stay open to the actors' requirements and to hope to God that the set is working for you, and also to endlessly keep an eye on your watch. Well, you do your homework, of course, and we all did go to Versailles, and when I say all, Kate and Эллен Kёras and James and myself and producers and location manager, and you know, the nub of it. Fortunately, it was a day when it was closed to the public, so we actually had the Hall of Mirrors to ourselves. And we had the resident Versailles Louis expert with us. And that's when you wish you had a time machine, not making a movie, because he said, as we were walking down the Hall of Mirrors, and he said, of course, you know, every night at Versailles they had to light 10,000 candles. And this mural that you're looking at all up the ceiling, within kind of minutes of that being finished, it was black. And Louis nor anybody ever saw it again because of the smoke from all the candles. And then we went into Louis's bedroom, and actually this kind of made it into the movie, because I went into his bedroom and there's this, I don't know if you've been there, but there's a big gold fence in front of Louis's bed. And I said, "Is that to keep the tourists back?" And he said, no, that's... when Louis went to bed, and whoever he was sleeping with, they always left him, and he slept alone. He would say he'd go to sleep at 11 or something. 80 people would stand there watching him sleep, members of court. And somewhere that was called his big sleep, or his little sleep, whichever way around. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning, he would wake up, and 60 of them would be sent away, and 20 of them just stood there. watching him sleep. So we couldn't do that, but when the door opens at the beginning and his little son is there are about 20 people just peering in through the door. So you do your homework and then you see what you can afford, what you can pull off, or what you can reinvent for your own benefit.